Hey, I'm Jessie from Belle by Jessie, and today we are going to make a DIY gift for a new mom. It's this necklace, this fabric, and wooden bead necklace. These are great to keep in your diaper bag for when you're anywhere, you're holding your baby, don't necessarily want to put them down, want them to have something to play with, chew on, and you don't have to worry about it falling into the floor. So mom can wear this necklace. It's nice and strong, and baby can chew on it and play with it, and it stays put. So we're going to make one today that has a wooden ring on the end. It has 30 beads, and it is stitched closed, so there's no ribbon tie to mess with. It's ready to just slip on over your head. I have a solid colored synthetic. You can make it out of any fabric that you wish. This long necklace does work best if you have a wider piece of fabric. So if your fabric is not 60 inches or 56, 58, whatever is close to that 60-inch width, if it is more narrow than that, go check out the video for the necklace with the ribbon. That works great with the 45-inch wide fabric. Whichever you choose, you're going to want a lightweight fabric. It is easier to tie the knots, and in this case it's much easier to slip these beads on top of the fabric if your fabric is not too thick. So once you've picked out your fabric, you need about 1/4 yard, and you're going to cut it into a strip that's about 4 inches wide. Does not have to be exact. We don't want it too wide because that's going to make it thicker. We don't want it too narrow because we don't want it too tight to slip those beads into. So I've got mine right about 4 inches wide. I am using, for the beads that go inside the fabric, a 3/4 inch bead, and then for the beads that go outside the fabric, I have a 1/2 inch bead, and you can see it has a wide hole in it. So you need this kind with the wide hole to be able to put the fabric through the bead. First thing we're going to do is sew. Oh, and you are also going to need a fabric turner, because the first thing we're going to do is sew our fabric into a tube. So mine doesn't have a right side, but you're going to put right sides together. You're going to sew from selvage all the way to the other selvage. I'm going to sew it about a 1/2 inch seam allowance. My background is in production pattern making, so I sew a little bit more like a production worker than the way that you do at home. So sometimes I do things a little bit differently. My seam allowance is one of them. But you go right ahead and sew at 5/8 of an inch. It's not going to make that much difference. We have a little bit of wiggle room in this, so you don't need to cut it any wider. That 4-inch width is still going to work for you. So we're going to sew it all the way from selvage to selvage. I want to point out one other quick little thing. I am working with an industrial sewing machine. It's still a straight stitch, just like yours at home, but I have a few other features that you may not have. For instance, you have a hand lever right here to lift your presser foot. I have that as well, but I also have a lever down low where I can operate that with my knees. So if you're like, how is she doing that without using her hands? I have a knee lever for that presser foot. So don't be surprised. All right, let's get this sewn. So selvage to selvage, back stitch at each end. We've made a tube out of our fabric, and now we need to turn it right sides out. So you're going to get your little strap turner here. Has a hook on the end, so you're going to stick it through and hook the end of your fabric and then turn it right side out. Let's see if I can get it to work on the first try. All right, let's see if you can see that. So it's going to make a little hole in your fabric. That's fine, you're not going to see that. So you want it to hook onto the end there. This is the tricky part. And I found most of the time, if I turn it upside down, it stays hooked on a little bit better. get it started. There we go. And then you can just pull your fabric right side out. If your fabric gets stuck, hold it right there so it doesn't come unhooked, so you can get it moving along again. There we go. I can hold on to the fabric now and put my turner away and finish pulling it right side out. My fabric is quite ravelly, but that's okay because all those edges are going to be inside the necklace. We did it! Alright, now we want to find the center of our necklace. So I'm going to match those edges together so that I can find the center. I'm going to hold it right here, get my ring. I'm going to put the center through my ring, make a little loop, and then I'm going to pull the ends through that loop. This is all we do to attach the ring, and this will put it in the center of the necklace. Now on everything that you do to attach, tie in the wooden pieces to your necklace, you're going to want to make them as tight as possible. And you're thinking, oh, that's tight enough. I want it to look nice. I don't want to pull it too tight, but it will loosen up over time. Whether you have a synthetic or a cotton, the fabric will relax over time as your mom is wearing it and using it. So we want to start with it as tight as possible so that as she uses it, it relaxes to just the right spot. So I'm going to pull those straps pretty tight. All right, and I've got my ring hooked on there. I'm happy with that. The next step we're going to do is tie a little knot on each side. And same thing with the knot. You want to pull it up and make that knot as tight as you can get it. I don't have any special technique for the knot. If you do, you go right ahead. I just loop it around and tie a knot, but I do push it up as close as I can get it, and I pull it as tight as I can. Alright, so I've got my ring very securely attached here. If you do have a handy way to make beautiful knots, put it in the comments below and let all of us know. Once you've got your knots on there, you're going to get your 3/4 inch solid wooden beads, and you're going to put one in each side. I like to work on both sides simultaneously so that if I get distracted or interrupted, my necklace is even and I don't end up making one side longer than the other. So I've found it just works best for me to do both sides at the same time. So you're going to drop that little wooden bead and just push it all the way up, and then grab 2 of the beads with the big hole in the center. Now this is the tricky part, and to be honest, this is what I think of as really great TV work or podcast work. Turn something on that you like to watch or listen to string all these beads. So we're going to put the fabric through the hole. What I have found is easiest is to flatten that selvage out and then roll it. So I'm going to roll it as tight as I can. The first one's the hardest. So you're going to get rolled up as tight and small as you can, and then you're going to push it through that bead. And I found too, sometimes kind of twisting the bead on there while you're pushing it, it helps. Push it all the way down. Again, you want to make it nice and tight to start with. Do that on both sides. So we have one bead inside the fabric, one bead on top of the fabric. You're going to repeat this. Okay? So keep going. We're going to put the last beads in and then tie one more knot. So push that bead down again as far as you can, and you're going to tie that knot as close and as tight as you can. So we have all the wooden parts on there, the ring and all 30 beads. Now we just need to attach the back so it's nice and secure. Now I like to make mine a little bit more narrow so it's not quite so wide at the back there. So what I like to do is pick one side and fold it in half, and you can kind of fiddle with it because your knot will make different sort of pleats and things down here, and see, you know, how you like the fold, where exactly it lays the most smooth or looks the nicest to you. Sometimes it gets a little twisted and it can look a little poofy. Alright, that works for me. So I'm just folding this so it's a little more narrow, and I'm going to just stitch it so it stays put. So just a quick little stitch there to hold that the way I like it folded. Now on the other end, I'm going to turn some of the fabric inside to give myself a clean finish. Now my selvage is pretty narrow. If you have a wide selvage or a print, or you know, it's got those little needle holes or whatever, and you need to trim some off, go right ahead and do that. And then you're going to fold in, you know, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, whatever works for your fingers. So I have that folded so that I'm going to have a nice edge here to work with, and I'm going to put the opposite end inside here, and then same thing, I'm going to kind of fiddle with it and see where I like for it to have the nicest looking fold, and I'm going to fold that end over so everything is just all folded up together here, so it's pretty thick. If you need to use the hand wheel, while you're stitching, that's fine because it's not very long, so it's no big deal. But I'm going to edge stitch, top stitch right near the edge several times here. We don't want our mom to be worried about the necklace. We want her to feel secure to let the baby pull on it. So we want to make sure we've got a nice secure stitch here. Let me get it under the machine. So I'm going to go all the way across. Put my needle in. I'm going to turn it, pivot it, go back across that exact same spot. And I'm going to go at least one more time. Again, a little one's going to be pulling on this, so we want to make sure we've got it stitched real nice and secure. I'm going to back stitch even here at the end. So I got 3 stitches across and a back stitch. Let's get that out, trim the threads. It's not perfect, it doesn't need to be, but it's pretty clean finished and it's very strong. So here you go. Makes a wonderful gift for a new mom or a mom of a little one. I had so much fun making this necklace with you. I hope you had a good time too. Please join me again for more projects like this, or for when you're too busy to DIY, you can check out my shop and see the gifts that I have already ready, stored in my studio here that I can ship out quickly to you. You can find me here, there, and everywhere online at Belle by Jessie. There's an extra E on the Belle, not on the Jessie.
And also like and subscribe. Yeah, so like and subscribe.
Thanks, boys.